Hey gang, I'm back. You're back. I hope you practiced. Hope life's going good for you. Today, we're going to work on page 30 and page 31. Okay? London Bridge and fun with a D major scale. Let's just jump right on that first version of London Bridge and play it together. I don't think that this is going to be anything that you can't play immediately right along with me. Okay? Got that metronome set on 69 again. Here we go on the count of 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Rest, rest, rest. Rest, 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 rest. All right, now let's talk about the second part of this page 30, this crazy business. In the middle of that page, I say, you will find an eighth note rest in the tablature below. Okay, an eighth note rest, I don't use them very often because they have a tendency to look like sevens in tablature. Now, why do we have to negotiate this? Well, because London Bridge isn't just London Bridge is falling down. It's London Bridge is falling down. It's got that little hop and a skip to it. And that's what happens when we rest on a numbered beat and we play the and beat after it. Okay? Let me show you what I mean. All right. So, 1, 2, and 3, 4. Okay? So, on the very first measure of that second version, you've got an eighth note mark, and at the first part of the eighth note, which is the numbered beat, usually the 1, 2, we're resting on that 2 beat, but we are going to play the eighth note right after him. 1, 2, and 3, 4. Okay? Now, a common way you see this written in piano music, if I was writing out standard notation for piano, that very first quarter note, that 4, would be a dotted quarter note. Now, I'm not going to go into what that means, but some of you that already play the piano know. Okay? 1, 2, and then that little 5 that we play is a standalone eighth note. It ends up sounding like this again. 1, 2, and 3, 4. Okay? So we've got that exact same measure on the second line. The second measure is identical to that first one that I just played. Let's talk about some other neat stuff that we've got going on. Now, we learned in the last song that we played together on page 29, Wildwood Flower, we learned how to take our A chord and move it up a fret to the 202. And I talked to you about not wanting you to go like A101 and then, okay, here comes my 2, boop, okay, back to my 1. Just take those fingers, leave them exactly like they are, move your arm, and slide them up to the 2, okay? We are also going to go up to the 3 today on this song. Do the same thing, slide it up to 3, okay? So you're going to go on that last measure of the first line of this second version. You're going to go 1, 2s, 3, and then we do a ditty on the 3. Okay? Now, where do we have that again? The very last line, the first measure. We're going to go from 1 all the way up to 4. So that's a good thing to practice. 101, slide your hand up to 404, and go back and forth, just like I'm doing right now. And get used to the way that feels. I've got my fingers locked into a certain position to play that 101, and I'm not letting them move. I'm just moving my arm and dragging them up, keeping the same position and landing on 404. Okay? All right, let's try this version of London Bridge. Let's see if we might want to change the metronome. Let's slow it down just a little bit. How about that? We'll take it down to about 60. All right, here we go. On the count of 4, this is the second version. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, and 3, 4. A chord. 2, 3, lot to do. You probably are going to need to slow that down and take it line by line. I'm trying to think if there's anything else I should cover with you on that. Do you want me to play a little bit slower? Okay, let's try it a little bit slower. I'm going to make the metronome give me eighth notes. So I've moved this all the way up to 88. And instead of the metronome giving me quarter notes, it's now giving me eighth notes. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Your metronome or whatever device you're using to keep time with, you could use this right now to count 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Or you can count it as eighth notes, which is what I'm going to do right now. 1 and 2 and 3, here we go, and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 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 and 4 and. Some of you won't need to play it that slow, a lot of you will. I would prefer that you try to play it that slow. I want you to play slowly and perfect it before you speed up, okay? All right, let's go on to page 31. This is kind of a brand new thing for us. What we're going to do with this page is we're going to pick single strings. So we're not strumming across all three strings. We're only picking one string at a time. Now, if you have double strings, you'll want to pick the one that's closest to your belly and just sweep out across the two of them. Don't get all hung up in trying to pick pa-boom like that. Pick them both like down into them. Just swing and keep your hand loose. You'll get them both picked without thinking too hard about it, all right? Yeah, like I said in a previous lesson, if you were a live student of mine in person, I'd probably get the wire cutters out and snip those extra strings you've got, because you really just need the three, especially when you're learning. All right. Why would you have two strings on a one course? Well, because it gives it a chorused effect, and some people like that sound, all right? Sidetrack. All right, so fun with the D major scale. We're going to pick the bass string first, open, 1, 2, 3, and then we go to the middle string, and then the melody string, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 plus 7, okay? All right, I'm going to play this for you, and this is going to be mostly something, I don't think you're going to have to worry about playing it along with me. Mostly something you want to practice on your own. The nice thing about it, it is the D major scale, so you'll know if you hit a wrong note, it won't sound right. 1, 2, 3, 4. Rest. Oops. Taking a different track down. Rest. I'm going to say a couple things about this because I had forgotten that I take you back down the scale a different path, right? So, okay, you got your notes there, and you've got the same note here and the same note here. You got the same notes in a lot of different places on your dulcimer. And sometimes what I like to do is if I'm down in here, I like to try to keep my notes all up in this range instead of it going ba-da-da, 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 ba-da-da. So that's exactly what I did. Let's look at that second measure of the second line down. It starts with a 7 after that rest, second line. So we go 7, 6 plus, 5, 7, 6, 5, 8, 7, 6, 5, open, 3, 2, 1, open. All right, I'm going to give you sort of a sneak preview to something that I usually don't start harping on my students until they're like advanced students. I like to tell you guys, as you advance with me, don't move a finger on your fretboard until you need it somewhere else, okay? Now what that does is it keeps that previous note you've hit, it keeps it ringing, so you get this really nice cascading rolling effect. Let me show you what I mean by that. If I start on that second measure of the second line down again, okay, on that 7, and every time I'm lifting up my finger, starts here on this one, right? So every note hit and then it chopped off. But if I leave the previous finger down as long as I can, it will keep ringing and I get this nice rolling sound. This is an advanced move to work on. If you're not ready for it, don't try it. But if you're curious and you want to try it, go for it. Okay, watch my hands here. I'm going to start on that 7 here again. I hit my 5, I leave it down, hit my 7, 6, 5, leave my 5 down, hit my 8, 6, 5, open string. Hear how I let that open string ring? Okay, so you get a nice cascading sound. It's a little sloppy, but you get the idea. It's much different to play it that way than this way. Okay, you get the idea? All right, that's kind of a detailed thing that you really don't need to worry about yet, but it might be kind of fun for you to try it. Okay, gang, the next lesson we're going to do together is page 32, Rock My Soul. We're going to get into that syncopation stuff again that we started on London Bridge on page 33, where we're not going to play on the numbered beat, but we're going to play a note on the and beat right after it. The definition of that is syncopation. Syncopation is where you put the accent on the and beat instead of the numbered beat in front of it. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. If I was just counting the ands, it would sound like this. And 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and. That's the definition of syncopation. And we're going to do a little bit more of that on page 33. All right? Practice hard. And I'll see you next time. Thanks.